Welcome to Miranda's Insights India number 10. And today I'd like to talk about surrender, discipline, and intuition. And I've been doing a fair bit of contemplation on these topics while I've been visiting different gurus, different masters, and doing my own personal practice. And so what is surrender, and how is that related to discipline and intuition? So for me, surrender is, because I hear this all the time everywhere in India, that they have a big thing about surrendering and even bowing down and this whole thing. And my understanding of surrender is that I am acknowledging the higher power in every moment. So it doesn't have to be a physical bowing down in any sense. As a matter of fact, to me, it's like a rising up. It's like opening my eyes to see the universal power in every moment, including this moment and in every single moment. So it's a diminishing of the ego sense, which tends to grab and contract my energy into smallness, and it's all about me as an individual separate from others, whereas surrender has a completely opposite effect. Whereas I am in awe, I'm in a state of appreciation and acknowledgement of something greater, and all I want to do is ride on the back of that greater being, that energy that is vast and all-inclusive. So that's how I'm understanding surrender, and it's a moment to moment to moment acknowledgement. It's not just, once I have this surrender moment and then I go back to my ego. No, it's an actual practice. And this is where discipline comes in. So we can be disciplined in all kinds of areas. Like you might be disciplined to go to the fitness club, and every day you go and you build your muscles or you do your exercises or whatever. So you've got a discipline and you're benefiting from that discipline. You might even have another kind of discipline where you watch the food that you take and you're careful about how much and what and how it's going to affect your body and the combinations and all of that. There's all kinds of different disciplines. You may have a discipline in writing. You say, okay, every morning I'm going to get up and I'm going to write. So as you know, you can have a discipline in all kinds of areas in your life. So what's important here is that you're developing the discipline muscle. So you can take that discipline and apply it to your spiritual work. And the deeper work is staying in contact with your higher self. So it's a discipline to stay connected. For instance, I could be observing where my thought is coming from. Now, how will I be able to do that if I don't develop my discipline? So if you don't work on these things, which means it's a practice, then you're not going to have that ability. And why would I want to observe where my thought is coming from? Because ultimately that is the whole striving of the spiritual practice, which is where the mind ceases to exist. So if I follow back my thinking, if I say, okay, what did I just think? And where did that thought come from? then I'm in a very disciplined state of mind to be able to catch it. And obviously, the answer is going to be I don't know where the thought came from, but at least you have been practicing watching where the thought came from. Because most of us will notice the thought came up and we'll notice that the thought had this content. But do we have the power to notice where it's coming from? We don't know the place where it's coming from, but the actual discipline of following the thought back is where the practice is, and that's the benefit of the meditation practice or the yoga practice. So how does surrender, discipline, and now the last one, intuition, weave into together, which is what I'm interested in exploring? Intuition is beyond the mind. So if you have a lot of thoughts, you're not able to access your intuition. So you need to have the discipline to be able to access the intuition, which means removing the thoughts so that you're back with just the gap between the thoughts. And now every time you ask yourself where did the thought come from, you're expanding that gap. And then it gets wider and wider and wider until you become more gap than thoughts. And now the surrender is really what it's all about. And when you drop the ego motives and you focus on the desire to be free in this moment, which really ultimately means an expanded, all-inclusive state of mind, which means I can still be an individual doing all kinds of individual things, but my awareness is of everything. And not just attending everything, but my awareness is on the awareness, the power of awareness. So I'm surrendering to that power of awareness. So I want to become more intuitive. Well, the real way to become more intuitive is you need to have the discipline to observe where the thoughts come from so that you can cancel the thoughts. That's kind of what you're really doing, is you say, okay, all right, here's a thought, and then you ask yourself the next question, where did that thought come from? Can I see the vessel from which the thought came from? And of course you're going to not know. You're not going to be able to know what that vessel is, because the mind is too limited to be able to perceive where it came from. It only sees product of itself. It cannot see the source of itself. So, surrender, discipline, and intuition means I will be able to know more and know how to guide my life moment to moment to moment through the power of discipline. And where do I want to go with that? Well, I don't want my ego running me. I don't want my mind running me. So intuition and surrender and discipline actually are all interweaved together. And that's my insight about this whole practice. So keep up the discipline, keep up the surrender, which means honoring the higher power and not feeding the ego. And this will develop your intuitive abilities to be able to know what you need to do from moment to moment to moment. And that's it for today's India Insights, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.